Indianapolis Colts fans, NFL draft nerds, welcome in to this Colts 7-round mock draft for 2025. Look, pretend this is not a Duval hat I'm wearing. Pretend it has a nice little horseshoe on it. It's blue. Pretend pictures in the background are Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dwight Freeney, whoever the heck you want, right? Doesn't matter. I'm doing my best for the Indianapolis Colts today. We have done this for every team in the AFC South. I do a mock draft for the Jaguars every week over on Duval Daily, so haven't done one here on Rogue Football, but it is all draft all the time here on Rogue Football, and I'm doing my best within the realm of possibilities to try to get the Colts moving in the right direction, get the Colts feeling like, not quite as stagnant. And I think there's some moves that have already been made this offseason and some moves that can continue to be made to make it feel like the Colts are really taking strides in the right direction. One of the moves that they did make that I'm a big fan of is bringing over Big Lou Anarumo from the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it was crazy to fire him for the Bengals. I honestly do. I know that he was kind of the scapegoat. The defense wasn't very good, but they were missing a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the ball to really have a big time defense. And I think you've seen Lou Anarumo when he has the talent needed to play defense at a high level and to be a game plan defensive coordinator. He's gotten the job done. So the Colts, they have a job to do on the defensive side of the ball, getting some upgrades certainly at cornerback and a couple other spots we can look at. But overall, I think that hiring Lou Anarumo, replacing Gus Bradley, is a huge step in the right direction. And as someone that is wearing a Duval hat, I'm not very excited about Lou Anarumo being in the division. So congratulations, Colts fans. I think that was a great hire. You know, the whole Anthony Richardson thing, to me, the guy needs more time. He's about to be 23 years old. He's still 22. I know competition. We're talking about competition at quarterback. I think that's a motivation tactic, honestly. And I hope it gets the best out of Anthony Richardson. I think Richardson has all the physical talent in the world. You knew it was going to be a little bit of a process to get him playing at the highest level. I think you get him healthy, obviously the run game going, and I think that you have a chance to, maybe he never becomes a top 5 quarterback, but can he be an explosive playmaker for your offense in an offense that can be a run dominant team, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at for 2025 for the Colts. That should be the goal. I think when you look at upcoming free agents, you have $34 million in cap space. You can move some money around with some of your big contract guys and, particularly on the offensive line and create more cap space. Will Chris Ballard do that? I don't know. Chris Ballard has been a draft and develop guy almost exclusively. Again, almost exclusively. I'm hoping for the Colts, they will bring back some of their own guys. I think Julian Blackmon, re-sign him. He will be cheap. He's a good football player. I think Lou Anarumo can do a lot with a Blackmon level safety. EJ Speed, interesting one. I'm good with re-signing him for sure, but he could get paid a little bit on the open market. He could be one of those linebackers that gets a nice little bag. And I know linebacker is an undervalued spot, but that's going to be an interesting one. So either way, I'm okay. But I kind of see him moving on. I think Deo Odiengbo, probably going to get a nice bag in free agency, probably moving on. Ryan Kelly, Will Fries. I say we keep Will Fries, and I don't know. Does Ryan Kelly retire? Does he move on to a new team? I don't know. Seems like he would like to stay a Colt. You can definitely keep him, but even if you do, he's not playing for a long time into the future. I think center is still going to be a need. So when I look at this team, even with Deo leaving, I think the edge group is solid. You maybe add some depth there, but you drafted Leatu Latu. You obviously have Kwity Paye. You have Samson Ebukam. You have a good edge group overall. Again, maybe add some depth, some future impact players in the draft. I think we need a center, a linebacker, a corner, and especially a tight end, right? Tight end is a big one. And tight end, depending on who it is, they can really help you in the run game and the pass game. Maybe you sign someone at one of those positions. It's kind of hard to see it though. The way they generally operate, again, with Chris Ballard just never going hard in free agency. I would like to see them really sign a corner. I think that there's a number of corners that make sense in free agency potentially to pair with Juju Brents. Um, that's what I would really like them to do is sign a corner. And again, keep Will Fries, keep Julian Blackman. I think those are the ones that are non-negotiable for me. So getting into the draft, I'm going into this draft saying they didn't address any of those positions: center, linebacker, corner, tight end, in free agency, because that's Chris Ballard's MO, trying to keep it real here. Hopefully he kind of changes his spots a little bit and gets a little bit more aggressive, but we'll see. We will certainly see. Going to fire up the mock draft simulator over on PFF where we don't have any ads, and we love not having ads. So trading down is always an option for me. You do have to look at what's on the board and say, if we trade down from this spot, are we losing a ton of value, right? Jahdae Barron, first cornerback off the board, which I think is good for the Colts. Will Johnson is still on the board at 14. Looks like at tight end, we've still got Colston Loveland. I'm a big fan of Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, and Terrence Ferguson. I think all of those can be starting caliber tight ends. Gunnar Helm tested horribly, and that's just a shame. So, I mean, he's going to be viewed as a tight end 2 at best. Harold Fannin Jr. is really more of a move offensive weapon. So, I think you could wait on tight end here. Although I love Colston Loveland. I do. I think his game would be fantastic for the Colts. Fantastic chess piece for that offense. Shane Steichen is a great offensive play designer, play caller, in my opinion. Yeah, there's going to be some options at corner down the board. There definitely are. Looking at interior offensive line, do we need to go interior offensive line this early? No, I don't think so. So, I mean, I'm good with trading down if there's something that makes sense here. Who's a team that would be aggressive to trade up in this range here? Might the Chargers be aggressive? I could potentially see that. The Rams. They do not have much to offer. The Chargers are still in rebuilding mode, so I don't know. I think we might be in a situation where we have to stick and pick. I mean, maybe the Bengals trade up, but they don't have a lot to offer either. Not a lot of draft capital. So yeah, we're just going to stick and pick here. I think that's the most realistic scenario. And with Colston Loveland and Will Johnson on the board, I think those are our top 2 options. Ashton Genty long gone, and obviously the Colts wouldn't be taking him, but I'm kind of talking through here my top prospects available. Malachi Starks is certainly one of those guys, but again, I don't think safety's like something you need to address here. So I have Will Johnson rated higher than Colston Loveland. I think he's a more complete player at his position. And so that's the direction I would go. The Colts finally get a in my opinion, a blue chip caliber cornerback prospect who has fallen victim to the having an injury during his final season and missing time. And, the whole pre-draft lead up hasn't been the best because he hasn't tested or anything like that. And then B, just the prospect overthink that happens when guys are at the top of the board for too long. Happens a lot. So I think that would be a great pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. And again, now that we've got a cornerback, I think we feel really good with our secondary overall for Lou Anarumo's new defense. I think we're looking at right now probably linebacker or interior offensive line. Edge, I think maybe a little early for that considering what you have there. So let's take a look at the positions we need to address. I cannot leave Carson Schwessinger on the board. To me, he's a top 25 prospect in this class. One of the best coverage linebackers I've ever seen in college coming out. Also a guy who never misses a tackle. Also a guy who is, legit linebacker size at over 240 pounds and an elite athlete at that. I can't leave him on the board. So now you have a really dynamic pairing of linebackers. You lost EJ Speed. I think Carson Schlesinger steps in and plays at an extremely high level for you. And he can be the kind of tool, the weapon that really, Lou Anarumo can just use him in so many different ways. Now, at the tight end position, we did lose out on Elijah Arroyo. We did lose out on Mason Taylor. But to me, Terrence Ferguson is a great consolation prize at 80 overall. Great athlete, big-time production for Terrence Ferguson at Oregon. I think he has a little bit of a balance to his game. So Terrence Ferguson, Oregon Ducks, starting tight end. And now you look at our first three picks, we've addressed three positions of need with great value players, in my opinion. Now, what else do we need? Can we potentially get an interior offensive lineman we're fired up about? Center for the future. Maybe the present. If Ryan Kelly does move on to a different team or ends up retiring, whatever it may be. And now, honestly, might not be the best value here to go grab a center. You might want to wait a little bit just because I do think there's some guys that can potentially be starting centers in the NFL. Jonah Monheim, Seth McLaughlin coming off an injury, Luke Kand. I think you can wait a little bit. And you might not be able to wait on, let's say, an edge player you might love. Or even defensive interior. You can never have enough beef up front on the defense. Just ask the Eagles. I love Femi Oladejo for the Colts. Chris Ballard loves the RAS guys. Femi Oladejo is one of those, former linebacker. Pairing him back up with Carson Schlesinger. Also, Leatu Latu. So kind of a big UCLA flavor on that defensive side of the ball if you go in that direction. That's certainly who I would be targeting for the Colts. Tyler Barron could make sense as well. Defensive interior. This is just a great IDL class overall. I think I feel a little bit better about the depth there than I do at edge. So we're going to go get Femi Oladejo. Get fired up about that. Length, size, explosiveness, energy. Brings a ton of energy to that football field. So that's a lot of fun there. This is also just a super deep running back class. You can always add depth. At receiver, we haven't talked about that really, but Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, it's a good group overall. Plus, obviously, you brought in my guy last year, Adonai Mitchell, who I think you can expect to take a step forward. So I really don't feel like receiver is a need. If the value presents itself, like Kyle Williams is a tremendous value here at 152 overall, I think he should be a day 2 pick. There's some guys here. Tim Smith, Junior Tafuna, Cameron Jackson, Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson would definitely be a Chris Ballard guy. His RAS scores are off the charts. And he plays with an edge, plays fiery. So we've got some good options here. No question about it. Take a peek at running back. Adam Bashel Tootin. That would be something special with his 4.32 speed. It's tough to pass on, but we've got a lot of good running backs we could bring in as, role players. It's a tough spot. I like a lot of players on the board. Who do I like the most? Quincy Riley's a good value at that spot too. Let's go ahead and make a decision here. Why don't we? if Ryan Kelly's back, I think Seth McLaughlin would make a lot of sense coming off injury. If he's not, I really like Jackson Slater and Clay Webb. They were two Senior Bowl standouts. Joshua Gray. Let's say Ryan Kelly's back for at least one more ride. And take Seth McLaughlin. You've got to make sure those trenches are in a good spot, right? Defensive interior, we did lose out on a couple guys. But I'm a big fan of Junior Tafuna. I don't know how Ty Robinson falls this far. That's crazy. That is a Colts pick right there. We got one pick left. Let's see what we can do at running back. Montreal Johnson would be fun. 217, and so would Rocket Sanders. I mean, these are two big boys that ran really fast. Let's go get Montreal Johnson. I think he's just a good, solid runner. This is a really good running back class. I think he can be a 1B. So overall, as a Colts fan, not that I am, but I think Colts fans should be fired up about this. Will Johnson, you get a premier starting corner, you get a premier starting linebacker, good, solid starting tight end with athleticism, good developmental edge, good center for the future, and then you get a Chris Ballard special at 190 with Ty Robinson, his freaky athleticism and the energy he brings on the interior. Can also line up at edge for you. And then Montreal Johnson. Yeah. Let me know what y'all think, Colts fans, in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the content here, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.